Hello guys, this is Bismarck and welcome back to another session on Android tutorials. As a recap, on other time we talk about overview of dependency injection, and we talk about some of the libraries that we use for dependency injection and ways of doing dependency injection. We talk about manual way of doing dependency injection, and we talk about automatic way of doing dependency injection. Okay, so today, as we want to tackle the automatic way of doing the dependency injection, as we have already looked at the benefits of doing or choosing this part or this way of doing dependency injection. Now let's use Hilt. So today we'll be talking about using Hilt in dependency injection, and as usual, I've always been using Android. I've always been using Java for Android, but today I'll be using Kotlin in this Android tutorials. So how do we set up with Hilt dependency injection? So the first thing is we have to go to our project Gradle file. Now we have to add this class part, which is com.google.dagger.hilt android gradle plugin. Okay, and this is the version. So the version is this one. You have to add it, then we sync it. After it is done or successful, then we have to add these plugins. So first of all, we add this plugin Kotlin caps, and we also have to add the Dagger Health Android plugin. Then the last thing is we have to add implementation, that's the Dagger Health Android. Then again have to add the caps, which is our compiler, which is our annotation compiler. So that's the reason why we first of all implemented or use this caps so that it can compile the annotation for us in Kotlin. Good. Now we have to sync it. I have done this already. So if you are following keenly on these tutorials, you have to sync it on your machine. When it is synced successfully, then we have to continue. Now let's continue. And after we are done with this process, we have to make sure if you do not have this compile option Java version 8, that's the type of Java, or that's the version of Java being supported. So we have to compile the Java 8 using compile option as done here like this. You sync your project. When it's fine and dandy, let's go on. The next step is to have application class. Even if you're not using application class in your project for any other thing, we have to use it because Hilt actually use the application class for its own stuff. So first of all, I have my application class in here. There is it. And in the application class, whenever you use application class, I know if you are a beginner, you have to call this in your manifest. So you have to call this in your manifest. Then you have to annotate the application class with this annotation at Hilt Android application app. So what this annotation does is that this annotation tells Hilt to generate codes. It generates codes in the compile time, and it will include the base class, the application class that contain the application container. I mean contain the application container. So when it is generating the codes for you, since it has this application, it will kind of course it will need the application contents in your app. So it will bind this annotation, will just try to grab this application context at the start of our application, so that it can be used across the app as when we use as and when we want it. So when we are done with this, we have to, if you are familiar with Dagger, you have a component called module. Also, this is a class, okay, and this class contains all the dependencies for a certain component. So all the dependencies that you'll be using. Okay. So first of all, I have my module here, and I'll be using, since this is going to be I want to, first of all, let me name this application module, application module, so that it will serve its purpose. Application module, like this. Okay, so we create our object, and you know application is always created once. So the process that is attached to the application is one process. So as a result, I also create one instance of the application. That's why I'm using an object. The object in Kotlin kind of make your class a singleton. So that's the importance of object. So object is like a class, but the class is a singleton, right? Okay, so we have object application module, and this module, since it's a module, we have to annotate with our module annotation, and then again after that we have this module annotation tells Hilt that this object is a module, it contains our dependency, and we have to have install in. So the install in annotation tells Hilt which component are we installing this module in. Okay, so we have hierarchy. So the hierarchy, the highest is the application component, which is called singleton component. So we'll be installing in singleton components, okay, then, and that's all. So first of all, let's try to do something simple. Let's try to test if our dependency, when we are linking them up or calling our dependency in this application module, will it be called successfully? So let's try to use a normal string. So first of all, we annotated our at provise. So at provise tells Hilt that this is our binding that we are providing. So fun provide greeting. So we are trying to do something like greeting. So greeting, and it is a string binding or data type. So what we have to do is, okay, so hello guys. Okay, so that is that, and let's bring our parentheses. Okay, so we are done with this, and as we are done with this, let's try to call this in our activity. So in our activity, since we are going to use it, so we use this annotation called at inject. So at inject is Java's injection annotation. So at inject lit init var greeting, and Java Hilt will know we are trying to call this greeting, and it is a string. And of course, since it is actually in this hierarchy, the component singleton component, it will go there and check any string available. But then let's continue. When we have multiple strings, how do we identify them? We'll come to that. So first of all, we are lacking one step. Before we can use this, we have to call this annotation an entry point. So an Android entry point, and that's that. So let's try to call this greeting. So we run the app, and you will see how it is called. So we are running it. Okay, so let's see if it is calling. Yes. So now we could see the hello guys printed in here. We just had our greeting code as a string, and you could see definitely like we didn't even provide any value to it. Now, so where is it calling this from, the hello guys from? Definitely it is calling from this string that we are calling. Okay, so that is how it is used. So for instance, what if we have two or more strings? For example, we have two or more strings like this, and of course they are the same binding, they are the same data type, but how will Hilt be able to identify in between this string that, okay, this class is calling this string or calling this string. Okay, so first of all, we could use at named, then maybe string 1. Okay, so at name string 1. Okay, so yeah, so now we have our at provise. So we are trying to, since they are actually trying to give the same bindings or data type, we are using at name annotation. So at name annotation kind of trying to distinguish or differentiate the same data bindings or the same data type. So right now, these are always providing string, but then they are providing they are being differentiated according to the name. So this one have a name string 1, and this also have a name string 2. Okay, so let's string 2. Yes, okay, so string 2, it doesn't matter how it is spelled, but for convention's sake, so let's go to our app, and you see that when you make it string 2 right now, like this, when we run it, we could see that it will print string 2. So it tells Hilt how to differentiate the data type. So let's run it and see what output we get. So okay, so let's see the output. Okay guys, so now we can see hello guys 2. So it is giving us the second one, string 2, and that was the name. Fine, now we know how to do this. How do we how do we actually call our string? So let's use string interpolation, trying to get our string in a resource file. So how do we do this? Okay, so let's go on with activity components so that we will know how to do this. Okay, so we create another module class called activity module. Oh, I don't want to use Java. Kotlin. Good. So Kotlin objects or class activity module. Okay, so with this activity module, as it goes, it is a module. So we create we annotate it with our module annotation. Then we install it. Since it's going to be an activity, let's use activity component. And what I should say is Hilt also follows the life cycle. So if we annotate it with our activity, we make this module as an activity component, as part of activity component. When that particular activity is destroyed, this Hilt will try to garbage collect all the dependency. So none of the dependency in this activity components will be lying in memory. So let's provide. Okay, so I'll provide provides, and let's try to call our string in an XML file. So we want to have this in, let me see if I can convert this. Okay, sure. So let's have this in here. It provides fun greeting from resources. Okay, so greeting from resources, and it's going to be a string. And let's make this so it will take a context. Of course, it will take a context because of this context. Let's take it from here. So at application context. Okay, so there is it, and let's name it so that because we have different strings right now, so you have to name it so that it becomes unique. If not, Hilt will not be able to give which of the string that we want to use. So we could name it resource string. Okay, so let's try to call this. Let's go into it so that we can alter the name from resource far. Okay, so this is the name. So let's run this and see what we will be getting here. And then again, we can also scope this to activity. So we can have sorry. It can see, it can't find the context in here. I understand, because we haven't provided the context. Okay, so at activity scoped, we are scoping this provide at for only activity, that particular activity you are calling. So when it is destroyed, then this dependency will always be destroyed too. So let's run this and see what we get. It will be done running. Okay, so guys, you can see, because we name it, we name it to be resource string, or that rest string. Now you can see from the output, hello guys from resource file, and it is taking it from here. It is taking it from the resource file here, which is being used in activity module. So what's the difference? You could see that this is taking a context, and when it is injecting, we didn't even provide a context. So what will be going through our mind is how is Hilt able to get this context? Okay, so this context, as I said, when we started with the app, we use at Hilt app, Android application app, this annotation generates a code. Okay, a code, generate code, and it tries to grab the context from the application class for its usages. Okay, so that's the reason why. So we have the so this is no news. We are getting this context from Hilt. It is given to us automatically, and we don't need to even use it or call it and stuff. So it will give the context to you as per where you are using it, and that's fine. So now we know how to use. So at this point, we know how to use Hilt, and we should cover ourselves. So let's try to use real dependencies. Okay, so let's try to use real dependencies. Now we have this module. Let's clear this off. Now we can clear this off right now. So let's try to instantiate, or let's try to create app database as dependency. So, okay, so we could have our provides as we always been having, and fun provide database, and this is going to take context, application context, and app database. So we have app database like this. Okay, so we are using room for our database. So room dot database builder. We have our context, and we should have our database and the name of the database. Okay, dot. So we can allow this setup dot build. Okay, so we have our database here, and you know, with database is we have to create it once. Okay, we have to create it once. So what we can do is we have to make it a singleton. We have to make it a singleton. So all that we have to do is singleton annotation in here, and this will tell Hilt to generate the instance of our room database once, and it will be used across the entire app. So this is that. Now let's try to call our our data in here. Let's try to call our database in the activity. So we have at inject at inject lead var app database like this. Okay, so let's try to log this too. So let's try to log the address of the app database. Okay, let's use the same tag, and let's try to wrap. Okay, so app database. Okay, so let's run this and see if Hilt could give us the database as a dependency without any issue. So we define this in as database. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Good. Now we could see our database has been provided to us. So this is we are just printing the address. We are just printing the address of this app, of this database. Okay, so we are printing the address of the database. Fine. So now we have printed the address of the database. It means the database has been set up. So what is next? Okay, so let's add something in our database so that we can grab it. Okay, so we go to the main activity, and we have our DAO, our reading DAO in here, where we can add our readings. Okay, we can add our readings. So let's go to the main activity and add readings. Add readings. So add readings. So we have our database dot add readings. So let's create our reading here. Okay, so I've added our reading in here. So now let's try to get our reading. So I've added some couple of readings in here. So let's try to see our reading table. Okay, so I have couple of readings in here. So let's remove this and fetch readings. So we are fetching the readings. Then let's create this function. Okay, so this function. So first of all, let's try to grab our dio. So let init dio, reading dio, reading dio, reading dio. Fine. So when it's instantiated, we are going to get reading dio is equal to app dot dio. Okay. Okay, app dot dio. Now we have this. So let's go to the reading dio and let's try to get all the app. So we are using var readings is equal to reading dio dot fetch. So we fetch, or I'm using filter. So this, I'm passing empty as a filter, and this will basically give us a list. So readings for each. So readings for each year. For each, let's try to log what we are getting for each of them. So 8 dot name. Okay. Okay, so let's run this and see if we are getting something. We are going to get the output. Okay. So to be done running. Okay. So now we could see. So we could see all the output. Now we have two readings in here. So guys, we'll be continuing these tutorials in our next meeting. Now we know how to use Hilt. Set up Hilt. First of all, we set up it in our Gradle project Gradle file. Then we come to the app Gradle file. We set up with the compile options. It's using Java 8. Then these two, the caps and the Android the plugins. Then we have this implementation and annotation processor. And after that, we should first of all try to remember that we should annotate our application class with @Hilt Android app. Then we have to provide our modules and activity components. So guys, we will be tackling how to use dependencies in intermodule dependencies. When we have modules different modules and you want to use Hilt across. How are you going to use them? How are you going to use that? And how are you going to use it in service? How are you going to use it Hilt in service? Probably content provider, fragment, and a whole lot. Even in our normal object class, how are you going to use that? And this is going to be a long tutorial. So as I said, I'm breaking them up into different segments. So stay up with me. On our next meeting, we'll be tackling that. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so that you do not miss this interesting stuff we are teaching in here. And have a happy coding.